Hey guys, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a day pretty much like the other days I've been having this week. I'm still in the process of moving into my new place. This is the end of week 1. It's hard to move into a place around work and everything, and my whole life is just boxes. Just pretend like this isn't here. Okay, just pretend like it isn't here. Isn't moving just so much fun? This week has been awesome. Whoa, that door is crooked. Need to fix the hinges. Damn. I haven't unpacked my tools yet. That swamp cooler is really loud. I need a new bed frame. Chimerosaurus can go up there. Badiatosaurus can go up there. Caprosuchus. Allosaurus. That thing is really, really loud. What the heck am I gonna wear today? Alright, black shirt. 3rd time this week. I need to get more of my clothes unpacked. Why? Why did it have to be fucking rocks? Why couldn't I be obsessed with origami or stamp collecting? Son of a bitch, there is so much damn cardboard. That does mean there's more things for me to cut with my knives. Oh, that fucking blows. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, and one that I don't know if I've ever made a dedicated video about on the channel up until now. We're talking about my Grail knife, and this is a very important topic. I don't know if I've ever made a video talking specifically about my Grail knives. I might have and forgot about it. I don't know. But I know I've talked about it on and off in a couple different videos, and my Grail has changed over the years. Knives have come and gone. I've been interested in things and lost interest in things. New things have arrived that I've been like, ooh. But I think today in this video, I really want to not only share with you guys my Grail knife, but also kind of figure out what it is for myself. I think the term Grail knife gets thrown around a lot, way too often. A Grail is a knife that should be damn near unobtainable, right? This is a knife that you really, really have to be excited to get, right? And so I'm thinking about knives that are out of my price tier, knives that are hard to get, you know, maybe custom, something super inaccessible. You've got to custom order it. Also, if I start sweating like a freaking whore in church, it's because I had to turn off my AC because that thing is so damn loud. Did you hear that? Anyways, probably not important. Yeah, not important. There have been a couple of knives that I have called Grails in the past. For example, my Best Tech Bowie tie, which I do not have in my hands right now because it is packed away somewhere. But I called that knife my first Grail knife. Although, honestly, I think a better example of my first Grail knife would be my Cold Steel 8015. Because I did get this first, but I think the reason why the Bowie tie became my first like Grail knife, why I call it that, is because it was the most expensive knife. It is the most expensive knife that I've ever bought. $260. I know for a lot of people that's like, that's your most expensive knife. Yeah, it is. Shut up. When I bought my 8015, I actually have a couple of 8015s. One that I got as a gift, this one that I bought, and then an 8015 Lite that I also bought. But when I bought this one, I paid $150, I think, for it. And this, I think, definitely is more in line with what my ideal Grail knife would be. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. This is my favorite folding knife in my collection. It's my favorite folding knife design ever. Fun fact, if you guys didn't know that. I feel like most of you did, but if you didn't. Yeah, at the time when I bought the Bowie tie, that was a big commitment. I'd saved up for a long time over one summer. I sold some knives. I sold some other gear and stuff, and I went and bought this knife. Fun fact: my We Knives Mine Axe, which I actually bought before that, was my previous most expensive knife, and I bought it on a sale. I think because it was becoming discontinued, so I got it for like $215, and it was originally like a $260 knife or something like that. I actually sold a gun to buy that knife. That's probably gonna make someone in the comments cringe, but that's what I did. So those were Grail knives to me at the time, and I have not bought a knife that expensive since. I bought my Bowie tie back in 22, I think. Yeah, I was a baby-faced little boy when I bought that one, and I have not made an expensive knife purchase like that since. I have handled much more expensive knives, and we're going to be factoring that into my decision today, and that has changed what I consider a Grail knife to be. That Bowie tie is a production knife. I love that knife. Do not get me wrong. I absolutely love that knife. It's so classy. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But there are definitely a lot of knives that I've handled since that have expanded my lust for a Grail knife, I guess. So we'll be getting into all of that. So I'm going to say that my Grail knife is going to be something that is damn near unobtainable. This has to be like the actual Holy Grail. I've got to, go on an Indiana Jones-esque quest. I got to solve the clues. I got to rescue my dad from Nazis, all kinds of stuff to get this knife in my possession. So let's go ahead and get started with brainstorming some ideas for my Grail knife. I think I already know the knife that I'm going to say is my Grail knife, but we're going to go through some options. At the end of this video, though, we will have just one. So, to help us out, technology. Got my laptop here, and I actually found an article written on Gear Patrol. My couch is really saggy. I found an article on Gear Patrol. I guess that's what you get with dumpster dive couches. Anyways, I found an article on Gear... How many times have I said that? I found an article on Gear Patrol. This article is called the 13 Best Grail EDC Knives You Can Buy. Now, I'm going to be honest. A lot of these kinds of articles that I find and read, I think are completely cringe. And I think a lot of times these articles are written by people that are kind of on the periphery of the knife world. There's some good ones, right? Like Knives Illustrated publications and things related to that are great. But some of these just random blogs I find to be a little bit hit or miss. So let's go ahead and go through here and see what I think. Already, the first picture they have here, I should actually probably be like taking screenshots of stuff like this so that I probably should have screen recorded this whole thing. I guess I could still do that. But no. Okay, we're going to make this hard on us. I'm going to make you guys just look at my ugly mug. So right off the bat, they've got a picture here on the article that has a James Brand Barnes, a Shirogorov of some kind, and a Chris Reeve Sabinza. Now, two of those knives are knives that I have considered as, being my grail. The James Brand, I'm going to call BS on. Just because I think they're woefully overpriced. Benchmade is trying to become James Brand. Okay. So, is there a video for this too? Disgusting. Oh no, that's okay. Wow. So many ads. I don't want to watch a video. What is the world coming to? Capitalism ruined the internet. Okay. So first of all, they have a little spiel about what is a Grail knife exactly. I guess I should probably give credit to the author of this page. I have not read this article yet, by the way. Sean Tierman. This was written in 2024. All right. Shout out to you, Sean. Okay. Laying out the criteria for a Grail knife. Basically, exactly what I said. They're focusing on commercially available knives, so no customs or anything like that. I think that's probably a good place to start. So we're going to try to do that. So the first knife they have on their list is the Spyderco Drunken. Now, this is actually a knife that a couple years ago was on my list of Grail knives. I remember when it first came out. When was that? I can't remember. But I remember it created quite a buzz, and I thought it looked really good. Sinkovich design. I was really big into Sinkovich at the time. And I do think that this knife is cool, but it's not my Grail knife. And I think a couple of reasons are because the quality control on this knife was not great. I remember watching like Nick Shabazz and people review this knife and being like, wait, what? What? It's not awesome? Are you kidding me? I was devastated. I was distraught. Yeah, $600. And honestly, I thought this knife was discontinued. No, Gear Patrol, I do not want to sign up for your newsletter. Yuck. I would like nothing less than to sign up for your newsletter. Let's go ahead and hop over to Blade HQ and look up the Spyderco Drunken. Yeah, $575. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So I'm going to take this knife out of the competition. The James Brand Barnes, skip right past that. That's the next knife they have here. Nope, not interested at all. I'm sure it's a cool knife. I've heard lots of great things about this knife, but $650 seems like a stretch for this, especially since I believe these are made by Riot, and I know Riot can do this for less. It just feels like a cash grab, and honestly, this knife does lack some of the pizzazz that I'm looking for in my Grail knife specifically. I'm not huge into integrals. I think they're cool. I understand the appeal of the work that goes into making a knife like that. Personally, for me, it's not something that I'm really big into. And this knife, I do like the overall lines of it, but I think this knife would be much better as like a budget knife, honestly. All right, the Sabinza 31. This is a knife that I have been obsessed with. I've told this story once before, but the only time that I've ever handled a Sabinza, I was 12 or 13 years old. My parents had these friends who went to church with our family, and the husband was a knife collector. He was an older gentleman, but I remember we were over at their house one time, and me, my dad, and this guy were looking through his knife collection. He had a Sabinza 21 at the time. The 31 wasn't out yet, but he had a 21. I remember he brought it out, and he was showing it to me and my dad, and I remember holding that knife. and being completely unimpressed. Completely unimpressed. And of course, I was 13. I didn't really know anything about anything at the time. And it has always bothered me that the one time I've interacted with Sabinza, I didn't appreciate it. So I've always wanted to get a Sabinza because I want to give it another shot. I want to actually use it and experience it. I know a lot of people think it's kind of outdated with the, kind of hydraulic, slow action. I'm into stuff like that. This is the kind of knife that I admire. It's built by a guy who knows knives. He's a user. This knife is built to be a tool. It's a premium tool. It's not really pocket jewelry, although they definitely can be beautiful. There's different inlay options. There's just different engraving styles. I think the Sabinza is so classy. It set, so many precedents for the modern knife world. But isn't my Grail? I don't think I could say that it would be a Grail knife for me. Number one, when I was at Blade Show West, I stopped by the CRK booth, and they had some Umnumzans there. They had some Sabinzas. I did not touch the Sabinzas or the Umnumzans. I was interested in their new fixed blade, and so I talked to the guys there, and I handled a new fixed blade, and I was so interested in the fixed blade, I forgot to even look at any of the folding knives, which I think kind of says something. As much as I respect and admire the Sabinza and would love to own one, I don't think I could say that it's my Grail knife. I really don't. The Unimzan might have a better shot being my Grail, but I don't know. I'm gonna check the Unimzan off the list too. Now, something about the Sabinza. This is a kind of knife that if I had the money, I would buy this knife for my dad or my grandpa. I think they would absolutely love this knife. Especially my grandpa. I would not tell him how much it cost. My grandpa, he's a huge Ozark Trail guy. He carries the same. He has the Ozark Trail knife. I'm not sure if he still has it. I haven't seen them in stores anymore, but he had the Ozark Trail knife with like the wood inlays. And whenever he wore one out, he'd just go and buy another one. And my grandpa is really hard on his pocket knives. He uses them really, really tough. I have seen that guy do things with a pocket knife that would make you vomit. But he's, very much the mindset of I use it until I can't use it anymore, then I throw it away and get another one. I gave him a Civivi. I can't remember what the Civivi was. One of their older models that ran on washers, a smaller one. What was it called? I can't remember. I gave him that. $50 knife. He refused to carry it or use it. He put it in a zipper pouch, and it's sitting on top of a grandma's piano. He pulls it out sometimes and looks at it, but he does not use it. So I would not tell him what the cost of this knife is. He'd probably slap me in the face for giving it to him. But I do think that this is the kind of knife that I could hand to my grandpa or my dad, and they would absolutely love it. It would become an integral part of their EDC. My dad, for a long time, for years and years, he was a utility blade guy. He'd carry one, like he had a Gerber utility knife at one point. He had a couple of Sheffield utility knives. He had a couple that he would cycle through, exchange of blade knives. And in the last couple of years, though, he started carrying more like actual pocket knives again. And his current EDC is a Buck 110 Slim, and he absolutely loves that knife. He loves that knife. He uses it for everything, and I mean everything. That knife gets abused so much, and I love to see it. And I think my dad would absolutely love this knife here. One thing that I find interesting about the Sabinza recently is that they have switched from, I think they still do some versions in CPM S45VN, but they're also making a bunch in MagnaCut. To me, this seems weird because Chris Reeve was intimately involved in the creation of S35VN. I think also S30V, but he was a big-time part of the invention of S35VN, which is actually my favorite steel. I love S35VN, and I think it's a perfect choice for the kinds of knives that Chris Reeve makes. And then S45 came out, which is kind of an upgraded version of S35. And I've used some S45 on some fixed blades. I want to get some folders in S45. Really, really curious about that steel. From what I've experienced with it, I like it, which I kind of expected I would. And so it made sense to upgrade the Sebenza from S35VN to S45VN. The MagnaCut on the Sebenza, it's a good steel. It's a good choice for the Sebenza. But to me, I'm kind of like, I don't know, it feels weird. It's like, why not use a steel that like continues the lineage of Chris Reeve? Like keeping the S45 on Chris Reeve knives to me is just like, I don't know, it makes sense. It's more of an homage to the original. We got to keep moving. I'm talking too much as normal. But yeah, so for some of those reasons, I don't think that the Sebenza, I don't think I'd put it as my Grail knife. Definitely an amazing knife. I'd love to handle one. Again, I'd love to review one, but yeah. Here they have the Shirogorov model F95, the Knife Center edition. Shirogorov is very interesting. Chromax PM stainless steel. I've never heard of that. Interesting. Shirogorov is a company that I'm very interested with as well. One of the things that intrigues me about Shirogorov is every video I've ever seen of a Shirogorov knife, I can I can feel the action through the screen. Like I see people manipulating these knives and I can feel like a little bit of that different kind of Shirogorov action that everyone talks about. It's a weird thing, but I can tell. Maybe it's the sound, maybe it's the way that I hear the detent moving, the flickiness, something about seeing a Shirogorov be manipulated on screen just scratches my brain, and I want that kind of action so bad. I love knives that are flipper only. I know that's not really popular or big these days, but I absolutely love a well-tuned flipper only knife. There's something just simple and elegant and classy about a knife that is a flipper only and does it right. I think it's fantastic. Also, keeping like thumb studs and blade holes and fullers off the blade. I don't know. I think it just looks very classy. I like the look of flipper only knives as well. So I definitely want to get a Shirogorov to just mess around with. I would love to own one, but I don't think this would be a good Grail knife for me either because it lacks an emotional connection for me. I love the looks of the knife. I love the idea of the action. I definitely want to handle one, but there's something about this knife that it kind of feels a little bit removed from me. They're made in Russia. Nothing wrong with that, but like I think my Grail knife should be made in the USA because, well, I'm from the USA. I want to play for the home team. That right there gives a little bit of an emotional connection between me and the tool. The next thing is titanium frame locks are awesome, but I think I want my Grail knife. If it's going to be a titanium frame lock, it's got to be USA. If it's not going to be a frame lock, unique locks are something that I would also kind of be interested in. So these knives are really cool, but I don't think that they are Grail worthy. All right, Dimco knives, 80-20.5 3V in Timascus, $900. Okay, so here is where we're getting into the upper echelons of price. So I don't know about the 20.5, but I would love to own a Dimco Knives 80-20, one of his like machine ground or custom hand ground versions. Made in the USA, got a cool lock, overbuilt. Andrew Dimco is my favorite knife designer. I absolutely love Dimco knives. Again, the 8015, this is my favorite folding knife design. This is my favorite knife currently in my collection. I love everything about Dimco knives. This checks off so many boxes. I reviewed a Dimco Knives 80-20 Slim several years ago. It was loaned to the channel by Sharpened Blade. I absolutely loved that knife. I loved it so freaking much. Dimco has perfected the overbuilt bruiser of a knife that is also fidgety. That's something that kind of almost seems like an oxymoron in some cases, but he did it. I love the 20. The 80-20.5, I actually have one out here somewhere. My life's a disaster right now. I love the 20.5, but if I'm going to be spending a lot of money, I'm like, the 20.5 you can get in a lot of different versions all over the place for cheap. I don't really think the 20.5 would be my Grail. It would definitely be the full-size 80-20. I think I would go the 80-20 Slim. I liked that blade. It's definitely still robust and durable, but it is a damn good slicer. Again, you can check out my full review of that knife. Absolutely loved that knife. As for the Timascus, I don't really care about the Timascus they have right here. But a Dimco Knives 80-20 with the slicer blade, that right there, that is what I like. In fact, I want to see what blade shapes he has right now. Ooh, the whale shark blade is good too. He doesn't call it it's the spear point blade that I was thinking of, not the slicer blade. The shark foot harpoon, they do have some cool blade shapes. The classic clip point, I do love that. Oh, the whale shark blade looks cool. I'm not sure if they make it in the slim. Maybe they do. Man, some of these knives are just gorgeous. Okay, yeah. We're not going to look at those. Okay, Dimco 80-20, we're putting on the list. That could be my Grail knife. All right, let's keep looking. Hinderer XM18. Yes, this is a knife that I have wanted for a long time. Yeah, it's a titanium frame lock. Again, not the most exciting thing, but it's made in the USA, so that counts for a lot. Also, it's one of the big three. Hinderer, Strider, Chris Reeve. All of those companies are companies that were among the first that I heard about when I started getting into the enthusiast side of folding knives. And I absolutely have a soft spot for all those brands. With Hinderer in particular, I remember watching early Metal Complex videos about Hinderer knives and completely falling in love with them. I got an issue of Blade magazine from that friend of the family I was talking about earlier. He gave me a bunch of magazines, Knives Illustrated and Blade magazine. He gave me a bunch of these magazines to read through. I remember there was this article about Rick Hinderer, and it was talking about his, experiences as a firefighter. It was talking about his shop and everything. And I remember reading that article over and over again and being like, wow, this is so freaking cool. And the XM18 is kind of his flagship model. My favorite XM18 blade shape is his Bowie. The Bowie XM18s. Buddy, those are so sexy. I love that knife. With the XM18 too, there is so much possibility for customization. There is tons and tons of things that you can do to these knives, different scales, different hardware, different clips, different studs. It's just tactical Legos, right? I love that. But there's a Hinderer knife that I like more than the XM18, and that's a Hinderer Jurassic. Now, of course, the Jurassic fits my whole nerdy personality, right? It's dinosaur themed. I love that, but I also like the looks of that knife. I like that. I don't think there's a choiled version of the Jurassic. Maybe there is, but I like that the Jurassic doesn't have a finger choil. And one of the things that that first put it on the map for me is the Civivi Statera. That's my favorite Civivi knife. It's been long discontinued. I've talked about this before, though. That's my favorite knife that Civivi has ever made. I think I do even like it more than the Vision FG and the Baby Banter. But I remember watching the Metal Complex review for that video, and he said that the ergonomics on that knife reminded him of the Hinderer Jurassic. That knife is one of the most comfortable liner locks I have ever held in my hand. And so if that is reminiscent of the ergos on the Jurassic, I'm in. I am so freaking in. I have some images here of the Jurassic. Yeah, I guess it does have a little bit of a choil, but definitely not as pronounced as the XM18. There are still, possibilities for customization with this knife. Maybe not as much as the XM18 as far as aftermarket hardware and stuff goes, but I think the Jurassic looks amazing. It's got, the standard blade on the Jurassic is kind of a straight clip point. which is my favorite EDC blade shape. I love so much about this knife. And this is definitely in the running for a Grail knife for me. Hinder Jurassic. You know, these are what, like 500, 425, 500 bucks, something like that. You got to be ready when they drop because they go fast. So this is definitely a knife that fits the criteria of being a Grail. And so yeah, we're going to put it right up there with the 80-20. The Hinder Jurassic is a knife that absolutely could be my Grail. All right, moving on. I think another reason why the XM18 is not on this list is because I could get like the ZT whatever it is, which I haven't wanted to get one of those, and kind of get the same thing. We Knife Soothsayer. Whoa, they have this listed at $1,000 bucks. I think you can get these for like $700 bucks on Blade HQ. No. No, just no. I don't think a Wee knife is going to be my Grail knife. And this knife here just doesn't really appeal to me that much. I think it's a pretty boring design. Yeah, they've got the Damasteel. They've got the Timascus. I'm not really into stuff like that, so. Skipping along. Microtech Combat Troodon Delta. No, I'm not interested. I was actually at a pawn shop the other day, and they had a Microtech UTX. I almost call it a UTI. Microtech UTX, whatever they're called, which is cool. I handled it. It was cool. I'm not the biggest fan of. It's getting windy out there. I'm not the biggest fan of OTFs. I don't mind them, but they're just really not my thing, so we can skip right on past this one. The fact that it is called a Troodon does, is a point in its favor. Troodon is a dinosaur name, a potentially dubious genus. Its name means wounding tooth. The genus was originally named for teeth found in Alberta and Montana, I believe. Troodon formosus. It has since been wrapped into not Sinornithosaurus. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Gosh, it starts with S. Anyways, it's been lumped in with that genus and has been made a nomen dubium, but it might be coming back. There's some research saying that maybe we do have some better fossils that we can attribute, or some better fossils that we can name as type specimens for Troodon. Anyways, it's the whole thing. We're not going to go into that right now. Fox Knives Radius FF. This is their super fancy one. Nope, don't care about that at all. Wow. $1,400 at Blade HQ. Oh, okay. The Rockstead Higo 2. Okay, Rockstead. I would... This is so weird. I would love to use and review a Rockstead. I mean, I feel like they represent a very interesting part of the knife world where it's like performance over everything. I would absolutely freaking love to have a Rockstead on the channel. But I don't think I'd love it enough to go out and buy one. If some magical knife fairy just appeared to me and was like, Gideon, here's a Rockstead, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to the channel. Oh my, like my mind, what? What on earth? And it wouldn't be because a fairy appeared to me. I mean, that would be pretty spectacular. Like, I'd probably try and catch it and take it to a biologist for examination for scientific purposes, to be completely honest. But the getting the knife would also be amazing. That would be something where I'd be like, wow, this is incredible. This is insane. I can't believe this has happened. But I don't think I'm interested in Rockstead enough to go and like actually ever buy one. So it's not going to be my... Again, they're awesome knives. They're amazing knives. But I don't think that they would be what I would consider to be a Grail. Okay, Grimsmo Knives Rask. We're actually going to switch the Rask out for the Norseman. I remember seeing the Grimsmo Norseman on Nick Shabazz's channel being like, that is a wild looking knife. And then I heard all the jokes about how it looks like a penis. I'm like, honestly, I can see it, and I'm never going to be able to unsee that, but it doesn't ruin the knife for me, strangely. I think it's an amazing knife. I remember watching different channels of people like actually using the knife, and I remember being like, wow, so that funky blade can be useful. There's just so much about that knife that I really, really liked. And so the Rask is cool. The action on these knives is absolutely insane, but I think I'd go for the Norseman. If I was going to be getting a Grimsmo, I would try and go for a Norseman. But do I think that the Norseman is Grail worthy for me? It's definitely Grail worthy. It's a Grail worthy knife, no doubt about it. But do I think it would be my Grail? Would I rather have a Norseman? Okay, let's say I'm at a show and I have, I don't know, $1,000 cash just burning a hole in my pocket. And I've decided that I don't want to buy groceries, gas, or pay my rent this month. And I see on a table an 80-20 and a Grimsmo Norseman. Which would I buy? I would buy the Dimco. But if there was a Hinder Jurassic and a Norseman, I'd probably buy the Jurassic because it would probably be more affordable. I don't know. You know what? We are going to add the Norseman to the list of potential Grail knives. I think that's cool. Heretic Medusa Custom Stealth Auto. Nah, we'll pass. Strider knives. Again, one of the big three. I do like the looks of Striders. But I'm not going to be adding Strider to my list of potential Grail knives because, there are some oddities and quirks with Striders. This one's made by Prometheus. I'm sure that a lot of those quirks have been worked out, like the locks and stuff like that. It's okay, but honestly, Prometheus doesn't work. Let's just treat this as a Strider knife in general. I love the look of Striders. I would absolutely love to use one, but nah, we're gonna pass. Okay, so that was all. Those were the only knives on their list. Okay, sweet. Now let's go ahead and add some knives that I've been thinking about. Some knives that I think could be in the running for Grail knives for me. Obviously, I don't English so good, does I? So when I decided to make this video, I sat down and I thought I didn't really sit down. It was while I was going to sleep last night. I've had the idea for this video for a while, but last night was when I decided we're going to film this video tomorrow. So last night while I was lying myself down to sleep, I prayed to the Lord my soul to keep. While I was laying down to sleep, I was thinking, okay, what are some knives that need to be in the conversation? And one of the first names that popped up was the Koenig Arius. And yeah, the Koenig's a really, really cool knife. Definitely Grail worthy. I don't think it looks that good. I'm not a huge fan of the looks of the Koenig. I think the best looking Koenig would probably be the Mini Arius with a flipper delete. That's pretty cool. But it's not going to be on my list of Grails. The next name that popped into my head was Brian Nadeau, Sharp by Design. And so I was thinking about that, and I was looking through his stuff, and he makes some really, really awesome, compelling customs and things like that. But a lot of his designs that I'm interested in are on the production side. And, like a lot of his made by Riot stuff, which is awesome. Definitely expensive, like, $300 to $400. Definitely expensive, but I feel like they're much more attainable, right? They're available a lot more frequently. I could save up, $300, fairly easily and get one of those knives. So as much as I love Brian Nadeau, we're also going to strike his knife designs out of the running for Grail. The next name that I thought of was Winterblade. Brian Winters is a wizard. He's completely insane. I would assume, in order to think up the things he thinks up. Insane in a good way, right? All love, all love. He makes some of the most interesting knives on the planet right now. I think his Severn model is the one that I am the most interested in. His factor is cool, but I really like that he's innovating. He's using like magnets. He's making knives that don't look like anything else, and I think that's fantastic. He's got like a dark saber auto that's coming out, which I'm a Star Wars fan. Of course I'm going to be into that. Although The Mandalorian Season 3 does kind of pussify the whole idea of the dark saber and Mandalorians in general. And yeah. But the Star Wars Rebels episode, Trials of the Darksaber, is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media ever. So yes, get me a Darksaber knife now. I don't know if there's a specific model from Winterblade Co. that I want to put on this list, or just him in general, but he's definitely in the running for a Gideon Grail. 100%. And the other name that popped into my head was Herman Knives. Now, the interesting thing about Herman Knives, this is going to be I think these are the only non-USA made guys to make the list, but there's something about Herman Knives I absolutely love. And they do resonate with me emotionally. You can see the care that he puts into all of his models. I think my favorite one is the Mantis. I love that clip point blade. Again, straight clip points are just so freaking sexy to me. They're my favorite EDC knife blade shape. And his knives can come in so many different varieties, from kind of plain Jane to fantastical. And my taste sits somewhere kind of in the middle. I do like my knives a little bit colorful. I like fun knives. I'm not the biggest fan of Timascus or Zircotai or Mokatai or any of those things, but his knives just scream elegance. And every time I see one of his pocket clips, I yearn for his knives. I love how he like mills out underneath the pocket clips, and it just, there's something about him where I look at his knives and I'm like, this is a guy. This is a guy who knows knives. This is a guy who is excited about knives. Oh, I want one of his knives. So we're going to add the Herman Knives Mantis to my list of possible grails. And the last knife that we're going to put in the running for Gideon Grail is the Spyderco Sleece Bowie. Another Polish knife maker, but I believe the Sleece Bowie is made in the US. Actually, is it one of the Taiwanese made Spydercos? If so, this would be the second. Actually, the Drunken might be Taiwanese made, or Jap. Whoa. Where is the Spyderco Drunken made? Let's see here. Luckily, I still have it pulled up on Blade HQ. Yeah, it is Taiwan. But the Drunken wasn't on the list. So the Spyderco Sleece Bowie, I think, might also be Taiwanese made. So this is the second knife that's not USA made that I'm adding to the list. Designed by Polish guy. Actually, is this Sleece Bowie made in the USA? Uh-huh. No, it's made in Taiwan. What the fuck? My thoughts exactly. Okay. We gotta talk. All right, so one knife that I was very, very interested in when it first came out was the Spyderco Chef, the Spidey Chef. I loved the Spidey Chef, the idea of like this stain-proof knife. Never got one, but it was a knife that I seriously considered saving up for and getting. It was one of the knives I was going to get instead of my Bowie tie. The Sleece Bowie is a knife that I think is gorgeous. Again, I was first introduced to it through Nick Shabazz, but it's a knife that I absolutely love. I love Bowie knives. The Bowie knife blade shape is my favorite aesthetic blade shape, like the big, massive trailing clip points. I love the looks of that, hence the Best Tech Bowie tie, why I was so attracted to that. So there's something about that blade that I absolutely love. The knife itself also has a kind of sexy simplicity. It's not super complex. It's very simple when you just look at it, but I know that there's more under the hood. The contouring of the scales, the way the pocket clip is positioned, the cutout in the scale for the blade hole. There's so many things that just line up perfectly. I think Sleesh is a great knife designer. So there's a lot of things about this knife that just scratch my itch, but it's been long gone. And then Knife Joy brought it back in a blue version. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I need. And I was so excited. Did not have money for it when they first dropped, and then they were gone. And I was like, gosh, I missed my chance. You know, oh well. And this was around the same time. I remember Spyderco did a special run with Blade HQ or DLT Trading when they did the Spyderco Tough, which also is a knife I wanted to get. I was working in the woods at the time, and I wanted to buy that knife and just really beat the snot out of it in the mountains. That never happened. That knife is a knife that I wanted very, very badly. We're not going to mention it on this list. Well, we mentioned it, but we're not going to put it on the list. Anyways, the Sleesh Bowie is a knife that I thought about a lot. And while I was conceiving the idea for this video, I was thinking about the Sleesh Bowie again. The Sleesh Bowie is definitely a knife that I think I want to add to this list. Now, the thing that I was shocked about was I went to Knife Joy and they have them. And I was like, no way this is in stock. But I added it to my cart, and it added to my cart. Is the Sleesh Bowie like a thing you can just get nowadays? Why is no one talking about this? With M390 and a blue titanium, I do wish it was still XHP steel. For $450. Now, I do not have that kind of money. I cannot buy this knife. Unless I do the monthly payments with Sezzle. This doesn't feel right. Like, are there just Sleesh Bowies sitting on the Knife Joy site? What? Okay, here's the thing. Is it worth $450? We're not buying a Sleesh Bowie today, okay? I want to make that clear. We are not buying a Sleesh Bowie today. We can't do that. But the fact that I could do that, like the fact that it is right here in my cart on Knife Joy. Why did no one tell me about this? Why was I unaware of this? Huh. I think I liked life better when I thought the Sleesh Bowie was gone. Because now, I really want to buy a Sleesh Bowie. Does that mean that Sleesh Bowie is my Grail knife? Or is the fact that it's just been sitting here on Knife Joy waiting for me to buy it, does that disqualify it from being a Grail knife? This kind of threw off the entire premise for this video. I'm not going to lie, guys. The fact that this knife is just sitting here. I had to do a lap. I am shook. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. This is gonna be an hour-long video. I am so sorry. Gosh, dang it. Blue is my favorite color, which is one of the reasons I love the Knife Joy version of the Sleesh Buoy. Blue is my favorite color. I hate you, Knife Joy. Wow. Fuck. Okay, alright. I think this is kind of confirmed that the Spyderco Sleesh Buoy is my Grail knife. I'm not going to lie. Spyderco Sleesh Buoy is Gideon's Grail knife. That's official canon for the Gideon Stuff channel. There you go. Yeah, we're going to close the laptop right now and stop thinking about that. Okay. The fact that it's available, though, does make me kind of feel like that's cheating. So we're going to get a second place winner in here. I was going to have a whole thing where I like deliberated about which one it would be, but fuck it. We're going to skip that. We're going to put the Hinderer Jurassic as my runner-up Grail. That made me happy and depressed at the same time. Anyways, that's going to be it for today, guys. Big shout out to my channel members here at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. If you want to become a member and support me directly and send me money so I can get a Sleesh Buoy, link is in the description below. There's a button down below. Guys, I'm shook. As for the rest of you hooligans, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. Tell me what your Grail knife is. Have you acquired it yet? If not, happy hunting, I guess. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Until next time, I've been Gideon. Adios.